Have you heard the news? Mel Gibson's long-awaited sequel to The Passion of the Christ, The Resurrection of the Christ, has finally found its new Jesus. Yes, after years of speculation and rumors, the role once made iconic by Jim Caviezel is officially being passed on. And the choice is surprising, to say the least. Last week, we talked about Caviezel stepping away from the role he played more than 20 years ago, a performance that became one of the most memorable portrayals of Christ in cinema. Now we finally know who's replacing him, and this decision is already sparking debate. Mel Gibson's upcoming two-part film series, set for release in 2027, will continue the story that began with The Passion of the Christ. The project is being split into two films released 40 days apart, one focusing on the resurrection, and the second on the ascension. It's a massive undertaking, and fans have been waiting for concrete updates for years. This week, the announcement dropped. Finnish actor Joko Onen, best known for his work in The Last Kingdom, will portray Jesus. That's right, a Nordic actor stepping into one of the most spiritually and emotionally demanding roles ever written. And immediately people started asking, why him? What makes him the right fit? It's hard not to compare this new casting with Caviezel's. The difference is striking, both in appearance and background. Many viewers are already questioning whether Onen's portrayal will carry the same depth of conviction and reverence that Caviezel brought to the screen. Others argue that acting skill, not personal faith, should be what matters most. So where do you stand on that? Now let's talk about the rest of the cast, because this film isn't just recasting Jesus, it's completely rebuilding its ensemble. Mary Magdalene, once played by Monica Bellucci, will now be portrayed by Mariela Gara, a Cuban actress who appeared in Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. Mother Mary will be played by Kasia Smutniak, known from Domina. Peter will be brought to life by Pierluigi Pacino from The Law, according to Lydia Poe, and Pontius Pilate by Riccardo Scamarcio, recently seen in Modi, the Johnny Depp-directed biopic. Even Rupert Everett is joining in a mysterious yet crucial role. Filming has officially started in Rome's historic Cinecittà Studios, the same location used for The Passion of the Christ. That's a nostalgic callback, considering the original film became one of the highest-grossing independent movies ever, earning more than $610 million worldwide. Gibson clearly intends to mirror that authenticity once again. The new project also reunites Gibson with Braveheart screenwriter Randall Wallace, and early insiders describe the script as something unlike anything Gibson has done before. An acid trip, in Gibson's own words. That alone raises curiosity. How do you portray the resurrection of Christ in a way that feels both mystical and grounded in history? Now here's where things get interesting. Some fans are uneasy about the idea of recasting such an iconic figure, especially with someone who doesn't share Christ's Middle Eastern heritage. This isn't new. Film adaptations have long faced criticism over westernized depictions of Jesus. But it's still striking to see that debate reignited again in 2025. Others are focusing less on appearance and more on substance. Caviezel famously brought deep personal faith into his portrayal. He even described it as a calling rather than just a role. Can Onen bring that same sense of reverence? Does it even matter if he doesn't share that same spiritual conviction? And what about Gibson himself? After 2 decades, he's returning to one of his most controversial and celebrated films. The world has changed a lot since 2004. The audience has changed. The conversation around faith, representation, and authenticity has evolved. Will the resurrection of the Christ capture the same cultural moment, or will it feel like a relic from another era? Onen's previous work gives us a hint of what to expect. He's appeared in intense, emotionally charged dramas like All the Sins, The Unknown Soldier, and Vikings Valhalla. He's proven he can carry stoic, conflicted characters, traits that could translate well to the spiritual weight of portraying Jesus. But this role demands something more, an almost sacred presence. It's a tricky balance for any actor. On one hand, you want to respect the historical and religious significance of the story. On the other, you're playing a role that's been interpreted millions of different ways over centuries. Every choice, tone, expression, accent, emotion, will be dissected by audiences around the world. Production sources say the film will once again use a mix of Aramaic, Hebrew, and Latin, aiming for the same linguistic authenticity as The Passion. That alone tells us Gibson is still committed to making this feel like a living, breathing historical event rather than a Hollywood gloss. The schedule is already set. Part 1 releases on March 26, 2027, and Part 2 follows May 6th, exactly 40 days later, symbolically aligning with the period between resurrection and ascension. That kind of timing feels deliberate, almost devotional. And yes, filming locations will include Matera, one of the world's oldest cities, also used in the Chosen series. It seems Gibson wants to maintain continuity in the visual and cultural texture of the world he built 2 decades ago. So where does that leave us? With a lot of questions and a lot of anticipation. Will Onan redefine the image of Jesus for a new generation, or will Caviezel's legacy remain untouched? Will Gibson's vision resonate in a world more divided about faith than ever? For now, all we can do is wait and watch. The production has just begun, but the conversation is already heating up. Whether you're excited or skeptical, it's impossible to deny the cultural impact this film could have once it arrives. So, what do you think? Was this the right casting decision? Should reverence for the role matter as much as acting skill? Or is this simply a new chapter in the ongoing cinematic story of Christ that each generation must reinterpret for itself? Let's see how it unfolds. One thing's for sure. This will be one of the most talked about films of 2027. Until then, keep your eyes open, because this story is far from over.